This is Money Moves Wednesday, August the 27th. I am Bosin Amafaya. We're live at the FMDQ studios in Lagos.
And I am Melissa Enoch. We thank you all for joining us on the show.
Oh, great. So let's start with corporate news. Ethio Telecoms has announced an ambitious 3-year strategy aimed at transforming the state-owned operator into all-digital services company. The plan unveiled this week by the company's CEO, Frehiwa Tamiru, targets a revenue of 235.8 billion Naira for the 2025 financial year, and that's about 45.6% increase. Ethio Telecom forecasts device sales to contribute 11.5% to headline revenue, marking a strategic shift from reliance on voice and data. The listed telco plans to also launch an Ethio Telecom branded handsets within a year in the Ethiopian market. Now, in Kenya, the central bank has issued a revised risk-based credit pricing model for bank lending effective September the 1st, 2025. In a statement released on Tuesday, the central bank says the new model, which tracks the regulator's rate, is anchored on the Kenyan shilling overnight interbank average and will be applicable to all new variable rate loans in the country. Under the new framework, total lending rates in Kenya will be set at the new rate plus a premium, while total credit cost will also include fees and charges. All existing variable loans is scheduled to transition by February 28, 2026, the central bank said in a statement. Now for more on today's Money News, Money Now, let's see how this money moves with Melissa with the rest of News Now.
Thank you very much, Bosing. In business news, the Standard Bank of South Africa is looking to raise more than $1 billion over the next 10 years via an African Women Impact Fund. The fund will target women fund managers and women-led businesses across Africa. The initiative comes as female-only businesses secure just 2.4% of total venture capital in Africa in 2023, according to a report. The program manager for the fund at Standard Bank, Thobile Finka, says the case for investing is strong as women fund managers are twice as likely to back other firms led by women. In Mozambique, India is strengthening its economic and development ties with Africa with the 20th CII India-Africa Conclave in New Delhi. This brings together leaders and businesses to explore opportunities in agriculture, energy, healthcare, infrastructure, and digital partnerships, advancing Africa's growth agenda and deeper integration into global value chains. Let's listen.
Leveraging technology for inclusive growth, whether it was through Aadhaar, which gave a digital identity to 1 billion plus people, and you have similar issues in many countries in Africa. And what Aadhaar did was it made accessing social services, it brought in financial inclusion at a scale and pace which completely transformed how it was done earlier in India. UPI ensured, and today India has almost 50% of global real-time digital payments, and that has ensured that the financial inclusion is happening at a pace which we haven't seen. India is now entering into partnerships and opportunities with other countries in Africa like Mauritius, Ghana, Namibia in launching UPI, and likewise as the stack has been developed and it's been which allows a lot of flexibility, much lower cost. Areas like CoWIN, which is for distribution of vaccine, Diksha, which is for providing education to the millions of people, ONDC, which helps in creating the own digital ecosystem. Platforms like this that have been built in India and many others have massive replicability in Africa. And this is being done both through government-to-government relations, leveraging technology for inclusive growth, whether it was through Aadhaar.
In earnings news, Kenya Airways has posted a half-year operating loss of 6.2 billion shillings for the 6 months ended June 30, 2025, compared to an operating profit of 13.1 billion shillings last year. Revenue fell 19% to In earnings news, Kenya Airways has posted a half-year operating loss of 6.2 billion shillings for the 6 months ended June 30, 2025, compared to an operating profit of 13.1 billion shillings last year. Revenue fell 19% to 75 billion shillings on a 14% drop in passenger numbers and a 16% reduction in capacity. The airline posted a net loss of 12 billion shillings, a sharp deterioration from a profit of 513 million Kenyan shillings in the prior period, blaming temporary grounding of Boeing 787-8s amid global spare part shortages. Still on earnings, Zimbabwe's leading commercial lender, First Capital Bank, saw a 128% surge in half-year profit after tax to 633.7 million ZiG, as total income jumped 123% to 10 billion ZiG. Customer deposits grew 70% to 65 billion ZiG, while the loan book expanded to 2.1 billion ZiG, supported by strong growth in agriculture, manufacturing, services, and tourism. Total assets rose to 82.7 billion ZiG from 47.5 billion ZiG a year earlier. The bank declared an interim dividend of 307 cents per share. Finally, on news now, happening in Kampala today is the UK-Uganda Agro-Industrialization Forum, where UK and Uganda are deepening ties in agriculture, trade, and investment. The focus is on exploring British expertise to boost productivity in Uganda while creating new export opportunities under the duty-free developing countries trading scheme. Let's listen.
We always say agriculture is the backbone of Uganda's economy. Now, of course, this is a very interesting statement, because when you say backbone, if your backbone is not strong, then you're bent, isn't it? So we say agriculture is the backbone of our economy. What do we do to strengthen it? Very interesting. We contribute about 23% of our GDP and provide about 44% of our export earnings by value. But over 70% of our population is involved in agriculture. What does this mean? There are very, very many people outside this room who work for very long for very little money, which should, I think, make us a bit worried. Because if we are enjoying ourselves in this room and there's a mass of people out there who work very long hours and don't get a lot of money, we are not safe. However, this situation is changing through agro-industrialization, and currently, I think we are expected to create about 60. We are moving very quickly to agro-processing and contributing about 60% of the manufacturing sector in Uganda, and we expect to contribute about 60,000 jobs.
I am Melissa Enoch, and that's it on News Now. Stick around for our Markets Around with Bosun standing by at the ticker tape room.
Okay, we're back with Money Moves live here at the FMDQ ticker tape room. Of course, we're tracking today's trading day, and as always, we start with the equities market. Just bring it on very quickly with the dashboard for today. But of course, the big news we're hearing from the Nigerian market this time was that Mr. Roosevelt Ogbonna, as a non-executive director on the board of Access Core Holdings PLC, has resigned from his office in line with the guidance of the Central Bank of Nigeria, requiring only a limited number, a specified number of individuals to be on the board. So that just came in just about a 4-paragraph statement. Access Core says Mr. Roosevelt Ogbonna has left the board of Access Core Holdings, listed on the Nigerian exchange, and of course one of the biggest Nigerian lender with footprints across a number of African countries, including a few countries outside the shores of the continent. And that's the latest, just breaking within the last hour or so. Roosevelt Ogbonna has exited as a non-executive independent director of Access Holdings PLC. We'll track that development for you tomorrow and in the days ahead. So let's just get on into the equities trading day. The Nigerian market pulled back by 0.36%. The BRVM fell by 0.54%. The Nairobi stock market fell by 0.45%. And these were some of the numbers that we're seeing today on the downside as the equities market get well into the rest of the week. After today, we've got about 2 more sessions before the end of the week and technically the end of the month of August, the second month in the third quarter. The EGX 30, however, came back after that very 1.3% thereof on Tuesday decline. The EGX 30 rebound today by almost 1%, 85,676 for that 30 top companies listed on the Egyptian or the Cairo market. GSE fell 0.56%, 101.857. That's the all-share index. Zimbabwe, however, moved in the green territory by about 0.25%. The CEMDEX added down 0.32%. That was also closed for the day. The market ended in the CEMDEX 2,444. Let's move into the government bond, and South Africa's 10-year paper printing 9.605% yield. That's about 0.21% on the upside. The rest of those government 10-year paper that were tracked were flattish today. And of course, the Nigerian bond was flattish Monday, Tuesday, according to investing.com. That's about 13:13 GMT. Let me just move on to currencies. The rand also fell on the dollar today, 0.68%, 17.75. Now the rand is heading back towards 18 to the USD. The rest of the currencies we tracked made some gentle gains on the US dollar. The Nigerian currency, 3 basis points. Moroccan dinar added about 0.6%. Egyptian currency, 48.65. Kenya shilling, not significantly different from where it finished off on Tuesday, 129.20, while the CFA franc in West Africa, 566.28, was about 0.94% positive. Now, let's move into commodities. And this way, the market is beginning to get a little bit rattled, as it were. Again, Ukraine peace deal. Would there be a peace on the table? There were separate meetings being held this week by the U.S. Officials, Donald Trump officials, with officials from Ukraine, as well as that of Russia, to at least agree to some sort of ceasefire at the end to that 3-year brutal war. That is on paper. Then you've got also in the news today, the U.S. Energy Information Agency, the EIA, saying the U.S. Crude inventory for last week was down by 2.39 million barrels. That's also today being considered by the market. Then finally, you've got the India been hit with a 50% tariff by the United States. That is also in focus. So oil prices therefore begin to move up 0.3%, as we saw around 12:45 GMT. As the US WTI is concerned, 63.48, 0.236%. Nat gas saw a very massive upside. You can see the number, 2.36 on the dashboard. Now that's what's going on because the European gas prices went up because there's now a renewed supply of LNG to Europe. Now let's get out of the energy space and talk a little bit about metals, where gold prices down by 0.1%. The risk-off sentiment today, 1.48%, sharply lower for copper, printing around $4.39. Aluminum also down by 1.03%. That's about 2,610.71. Let's wrap it up on the soft commodities. Cocoa prices sharply higher, 1.31%, a positive sentiment coming back into the soft commodities. Cocoa per metric ton around 7,713. Coffee slightly lower from where we were on Tuesday, around 373. Now trading $369.45, around 12:53 p.m. GMT. Then you have palm oil spot at 1,041. Holding it around this 1,040 since we started the week. Today is the third day. And if you look at this spot price, 0.12% in the red. The rest were future prices, so the prices keep moving in different directions depending on geopolitics, news coming through from demand and the supply side, and of course the weight of the currencies for those major exporters as far as soft commodities is concerned. And that's about it all for today. Wrapping it up on the market and how money moves market here on your Money Moves from Frontier Africa Reports from me, Bosin Amafaya, and the rest of the team here at the FMDQ studios. We thank you for watching. I will see you next time.